Hello friends, for today's video I'm going to be doing both a book haul and then also talking through some of the books that I've recently checked out from my local library. Libraries are fantastic. I use them all the time. I do feel like collectively all of us could probably do a little bit more to show support and love to our libraries, as they provide so many great resources, not just to all of us, but just to members of the community as well. I think they're a vital part of our society, so I do want to give love to them when I can. But also, I am somebody who I know firsthand what it takes to write a book, the amount of time and effort that goes into writing a book, and I'm so grateful there are so many authors willing to put their work out there to enrich our lives, and thus I want to support them when I can. So I do also like talking about books that I've gotten recently. One, because I do find that it allows for me to have another opportunity to talk about books that maybe I have checked out from the library in the past and have since gotten. So it's a chance for me to hype these books up again. But also, sometimes I end up getting special editions, and I know sometimes special editions can be seen as something that's a little bit surface level. It's not about the substance of a book anymore, it's just about how pretty it is. And I do think there's some validity in that criticism, but I also think that especially with the emergence of AI art, I think it's so important to show love for any kind of opportunity that allows for artists to maintain their careers. I think art forms in so many different areas are so important. So anyway, that's why we're going to be kind of combining some books I've checked out from the library and some books that I have gotten recently. I'm going to break them up into those two categories. We'll go ahead and start with the book haul portion, then we'll jump into the library books. The first book I'm going to mention is Dragon Mage. I'm not going to show it just yet because I kind of want to set up, I want to prepare you for just how beautiful this book is. So Dragon Mage has been one of my favorite books that I've picked up this year, thanks to my friend Roger for really pushing me to read it. I had already had it on my TBR, but my friend Roger's like, I'm picking this book for you to read. And I absolutely loved it. It was originally self-published, and the author ended up doing a Kickstarter for a special edition. When that Kickstarter happened, I remember seeing the book and being like, wow, that's beautiful, but I haven't read it, so I probably shouldn't back this Kickstarter. And I wish them, mentally in my head, I wish them the best, but also I was like, maybe in the future, if I really like the book, I'll see if I can find a copy secondhand. But many of us know that Kickstarter editions are really hard to find secondhand because of the very nature of, if somebody's backing it, they're probably backing it because they really loved it and they're really interested in having this limited edition copy. But I was lucky enough to find somebody selling it secondhand on Pango, and through selling books myself on the Pango app, I did have some credit there, so I was able to get this book with credit. It is now probably one of my most beautiful books that I have, and it has a feature to it that is unbelievable. When I saw it, I was like, wait a second, whoa. And I just turned into a little kid and got really giddy. So here is the book itself. The book is so pretty. It looks so elegant. It has a ribbon here at the top. It has these gorgeous gold reflective edges. Some of the prettiest I've ever seen too. And hold on, we'll get to the edges here in just a second. And then here's the back of it. The back is also really beautiful. When you open it up, it has a map on the inside here, and you might be able to start to pick up what I'm sort of excited about with these pages. So there is an original. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it. The original cover art is beautiful, and I think it's really fitting to the story. It's gorgeous, and I really like it. So the special edition, even though it is stunning, I also in my head was like, I don't mind if I just end up having the original self-pub cover either, because it's so pretty. But this feature, okay, so it's going to be kind of hard to show, but if I can maybe like sort of open it, you can see it. But if I can't get a good clip of this right now, I'll insert a clip so you can see what I'm trying to show you. But the edges, there you go. Oh, it ends up forming the original cover. It's so cool. I still can't get over it. It's so cool. And then if you do it the other direction, it creates the image that had been on the back side. I think this one's going to be harder to show. I really don't want to damage my own book like an idiot. If you open the book, you can see, here, maybe you can see, there you go. You can see the art better there. And also, look how cool the beginnings of chapters are. But you can see how awesome that is, but it's done through having the print on the very, very edges of each of the individual pages. And that's what causes it to do that when you open it up. And I just think that's so cool. If you're interested in hearing more about Dragon Mage, I'll have one of the videos that I've brought it up in linked below, if not multiple, because I have talked about it quite a bit. Next up, not super fancy, but still very beautiful cover art. We have The God and the Guishine. So this is a sequel to The God and the Gumiho, which I thought was so campy and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of an absolutely ridiculous story. And I will say, when I first picked it up, I was like, this is camp to the extreme, and I wasn't totally on board, but at some point I just kind of succumbed to it, and I ended up having a really fun time with it. So this is the sequel, and I actually originally also on Pango had gotten a copy of the first book, The God and the Gumiho, and it was a UK copy. This is the American copy, and because that first one I got used, I did want to get this second one where I wasn't getting it used, and that's part of why I went ahead and just got this. If I end up finding a copy that matches the first one, then I'll try to get that as well. But I'll probably go back and buy the first one in the regular US paperback, because I really do like this cover art. I think it's so pretty, the color use is great, and just the framing of the characters and the positioning of them I think is gorgeous. The next book is the only one today that isn't fantasy, and that would be Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This is specifically the Illumicrate edition, and I like getting these because in the US, originally Emily Henry's books came out as paperbacks, and then I don't know if it's because they started getting so much success or because there's more emphasis on special editions now. I'm not sure exactly what caused this, but now when Emily Henry's books come out, they come out in hardback, and then you have to wait for the paperbacks. So it actually turns out to be faster to get special editions, even though with book boxes like Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, those sorts of things, you sometimes have a delay from when you order it versus when it finally arrives. But it still turns out to be faster to do that than it is to wait for the paperback release. And I have enjoyed Emily Henry's other works, and I don't mind, even though I haven't read that one yet, I don't mind getting it because I do like whenever I dip my toes outside of fantasy. I know that this is an author that there's a lot of conversations around her books, but it is one that I do enjoy picking up. As far as the actual special edition features, if you take the sleeve off, it has this really sweet little look on the naked hardback. It's very, very pretty. And then there is some artwork when you open up the book. I'm not going to show the artwork just because, even though I know it's a romance story, spoilers. It's probably not really spoilers, but it shows characters together. Not in an inappropriate way, just to be clear. But it shows characters together, and maybe some people don't want to know who ends up together, even though it's a romance story, so of course they end up together. But still, I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of spoilery. But anywho, next up we have 2 self-published works that were sent to me by the authors after I had mentioned them in some anticipated releases videos, so a huge thank you to those authors. Because I haven't picked these up yet, I can't really comment too much on the plots or anything like that, but I'll have the anticipated releases videos where I mentioned them. One of them would be Showing Silver, and then the other one would be The Crimson Fire. Both of these I am really excited about, as one of them seems more like epic fantasy and the other one seems like it's going to feel more like fantastical fairy tale. And this one, I have to say, this cover, I don't know what it is, but it's just so striking. It's right on the naked hardback. So the presentation for both of these is also really fantastic. I am excited because I think that the art styles, from what I remember of the synopses, I think these art styles are well representing the kind of fantasy stories that these are. And I just love when there is that attention to detail. And I know that's something for a lot of self-pub authors that can be really challenging because you have to wear so many different hats. You have to do so much yourself because you don't get to just write the book and then maybe spend some time marketing, but then the publishing house is the one that's going to do everything else. You have to explain to an artist what you're looking for when it comes to the cover. If you do hire a professional artist, sometimes they make the art themselves, which is also quite the undertaking. You have to find a designer, you have to get an editor, you have to do so much. And I think that when there is that time put into, I'm going to try really hard to ensure that because I have creative control, that I get to have the book presented in a way that I like. I think it just goes to show how much love and passion that self-pub authors put into their works. So I'm really excited for both of these. I hope I enjoy them. And again, thank you to the authors for sending them to me. After that, we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I'm very hopeful that I can try to fit this into my schedule very soon. I haven't read it yet. Obviously, that statement I just made kind of indicates that. But I really enjoy V.E. Schwab's works. It's an author who I've never come away from one of her books hating it. There are some that I like more than others, certainly, but never have I been like, ugh, what a drag about anything I've picked up by V.E. Schwab. I genuinely enjoy the prose, the authorial voice that V.E. Schwab has quite a bit. So even when maybe the plots aren't as much to my liking or I don't feel as connected to the characters, I just enjoy the writing itself. And there's something about her works that always feel like, even though from one book to the next, the emphasis on what the themes are can vary and the characters can be different, the plots can be very different. She's very imaginative and creative. Even though all those things could be different, there's just something about her writing that always has this tiny bit of wickedness. And sometimes it can lean into a little bit like existential and a little moody. And that doesn't always work for me, but there's something about how V.E. Schwab does it that I really, really connect with. And now for the books that I have checked out from my local library. I do get audiobooks all the time, so I'm just going to be showing the physical books that I've checked out recently. One of them would be The Forest King's Daughter. This is an anticipated release that I had from a little bit earlier in the year, and if you have ever used the audiobook service Libro FM, I've mentioned this before, but just a reminder, Libro FM, if you're any kind of reviewer, you can apply for their influencer program, and then you have access to a number of audiobooks every single month that are brand new, and they offer you 10 of them for free, which is an incredible deal. And so I actually have the audiobook for this one. I think a lot of you know that I actually really enjoy immersion reading, where I read the physical and I listen to the audiobook. I used to think that this sounded absolutely ridiculous, but I actually find that it makes it so it's more immersive and it's easier to really lock into the story. It's better for me when it comes to retaining the information. So as often as possible, if I have the chance to do that, I prefer to do that. So I am hopeful to get around to that one sometime in the near future. I have a lot of new fantasy books that I'm interested in from this year, but access is always a little bit of a hiccup because sometimes some of them, I've never read a book by that author. I don't know if I want to go out and buy them new because that would add up very, very quickly. And so I like that there are times where I can actually find some of them at the library. Next up, we have the continuation of a series that I started recently. The first book I actually also checked out from the library, and that would be A Winter's Promise. This is the first book in the Mirror Visitor series. I found this first book engaging and interesting. I thought the world building was amazing, but I'm not necessarily head over heels for it just yet. I can see there being a lot of potential for what the story could become, though, as you progress, as there's so many things left unanswered and so many things we barely scratched the surface of. I haven't had the chance to talk about this story in depth yet, but I will be talking about it soon because I have quite a number of thoughts. But I checked that first one out and I thought, okay, I would like to continue on with that series. So they actually had, they had books 2 and 4 at the library, but not book 3. So I probably will just have to listen to book 3 in audiobook form, and then unless I really dislike book 2, and then I guess I'll drop the series. But I don't plan to do that right now. I would like to be able to finish this whole series because it's not new and it's something that I can just continue on with. I don't have to wait for the next installments. So I have book 2 ready. I think I can probably just listen to the audiobook for book 3 because I'll be pretty familiar with the world and the characters at that point. And then I have book 4. I am quite interested to see where the series goes after that first one. And similar to what I was describing about that series, this next one is one where I checked out the first book from the library, liked it, and would like to continue on as the other installments are already out, and that would be the Harbinger series. The first book is Stormglass. Once again, a book I haven't had the chance to talk about, but the next 3 books would be Mirrorgate, Iron Garland, and Prism Cloud, and I actually find that the covers of these, they remind me a little bit of the one Michael J. Sullivan series, just a tiny bit. Not that they're identical, but I really like the covers of these ones, and I really liked the first book, so I am excited to see what is done with the rest of these. First one I had actually not only already read and checked out from the library, but I had to return it, so I can't really hold that one up. but I did check that one out as well. And I am excited because I feel like sometimes with backlist fantasy, libraries are so great because newer fantasy releases, a lot of people get their hands on them, and it can be a lot more difficult to actually, if you have something you're like, oh, I really want to read this. Libraries are amazing, but you do often have to wait because there's quite long wait lines, even for audiobooks, even though it's a digital copy. If you're an ebook reader, it can be a similar situation if they even have it. Sometimes they don't even have the files ready. But one of the bright sides to backlist fantasy is that usually there are physical copies at the library and usually you don't have to wait. But anyway, that's it for some books that I have gotten both from the library and then also some books that I have purchased recently and received from the authors themselves. Thank you so much for watching. I will have my local indie bookstores linked in the description bar, as I always like giving them some love. It's just I didn't get any from my local bookstores this go around, but I'll have those linked regardless. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.